Coming up tonight in our news, a recently returned passenger tests negative for COVID-19. Meanwhile, we hear from the family of a man gunned down in a Haitian village, and a popular bishop sings the government's praises.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight, the Ministry of Health confirming an additional case of the coronavirus tonight, bringing the total number of cases to 94. The latest case is a 41-year-old New Providence man who is in isolation at home. There are now 41 recovered cases and 42 active cases. 1,670 tests have been conducted. Meanwhile, the passenger thought to have returned to the Bahamas with COVID-19 has tested negative for the virus, according to health officials who insisted the man poses no risk. George O'Bain reports.
The Ministry of Health revealed in a statement Tuesday night that the passenger was tested twice when he arrived on Grand Bahama, and both test samples came back negative. It came 2 days after Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis said during a national address that a person on a repatriation flight to Grand Bahama was infected with the COVID-19 virus. But there are still too many questions that need answers, according to former Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell.
Certainly there is now a huge credibility problem where one day you say the man is positive, you cause a huge crisis, you cancel the incoming Bahamas Air flights, and now you say the man is negative. So does that mean everybody who's on the plane, because there was a false positive or false negative, do they all have to be tested again to be sure that the thing was accurate? It is extraordinary that the Consul General, whose post is to be stationed in Miami, leaves her post, and we've sent a note to the Minister of Foreign Affairs to say, did she have permission to do so? She has to be obviously quarantined herself here. Secondly, was she tested before she got on the plane? Will she be tested when she's here in Nassau?
Bahamas Consul General in Miami, Linda Trico-Mackey, said she took responsibility for the consulate, as she said Bahamas Air sought approval from someone at the consulate and the person was not at a level to give approval. But they did. She called it a bad judgment call. Mitchell said he is confused as to why Mackey was not in her post. He called for a direct answer or for Mackey to be replaced.
The main thing is you are stationed in Miami as a foreign diplomat. What are you doing in Nassau? Your place is in Miami. To see that an important mission on behalf of the government and the people of the Bahamas, that important mission is carried out. And it cannot be carried out by being in Nassau. It must be carried out by being in Miami. Again, the word responsibility. The Consul General said, I accept responsibility for what happened. So what should follow after that?
Reporting for Our News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
A double shooting in a Haitian community off Cowpen Road last night left one man dead and another in critical condition. Police say they're following significant leads. Bertha McDermott has the details.
What started out as two men hanging out in the Haitian community off Cowpen Road turned deadly for one. According to Police Press Liaison Officer ASP Audley Peters, two men were sitting in front of a residence when a man opened fire on them, critically injuring one and taking the life of the other.
The police received information of a shooting incident that occurred in the Haitian community off Cowpen Road. First officers responded, and on their arrival, they were informed that two men were seated in the front of a residence when they were approached by a male armed with a handgun and discharged the firearm in their direction, hitting both men.
The second victim was rushed to hospital by EMS and is said to be in critical condition. Meanwhile, a family member confirmed that the deceased is 30-year-old Richard Bain. Police say he was shot multiple times and they are following significant leads in this matter. According to his sister, Rakista Stubbs, Bain had one of his arms chopped off a few years back. While he was unemployed, she said he did his best to support his grandmother.
No, he wasn't working. He do stuff around the yard for my Grammy and help her in a big way. Even though he only had one arm, he still helped her as much as he could. She was a big help. She rather give him her money than to give anything else.
She said this is especially hard for her as she watched her brother take his last breath. She admitted that her brother was no saint, but mostly stuck to himself.
He used to say big up one gang, but then he stopped. Then after he get his hand chopped off, he just used to just stick to himself. So he never used to really bother nobody, but everybody used to just pick fight with him. And probably he might get drunk and say some stuff, but he don't mean. But he wasn't gonna kill a fly.
And so police are appealing to members of this community to come forth with any information that can help in solving this latest incident. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. Well, despite the recent spate of murders, National Security Minister Marvin Dame says crime is down. However, he admitted the implementation of a curfew and weekend lockdowns will not eliminate crime.
These things don't go away with curfews and lockdowns. They may be reduced because it reduces the opportunity for persons to commit crime. But you know, a criminal all of a sudden doesn't move away from crime because there's a lockdown and there are curfews. They look at opportunities to see when they can strike.
The government implemented a 24-hour curfew and weekly shutdowns in an effort to curb the spread of the virus. Last week, Commissioner of Police Paul Roll noted that crime had been trending down. However, 3 people were killed within 12 hours on Tuesday.
Crime is down. We started the year with crime being down. There's always a concern when somebody is murdered or even injured. I have been hearing from the commissioner on a regular basis. I have every confidence that the commissioner and his team are on top of those incidents.
A Jamaican mother of 3 girls is scared she'll be ridiculed if she asks for help. She says being a foreigner and trying to get aid is difficult.
I am desperate. I am financially embarrassed.
This second-hand fan is considered a luxury for Juliet Dan and her 3 daughters.
My children are scared, as you can see the situation that I'm in.
Living in a simple 1-bedroom efficiency, Dan, a Jamaican national, had to borrow $150 to make her last rent payment. The modest living quarters feature a broken TV set and a hot plate. Art and photos on the wall brighten the room, but it isn't much space for its 4 residents.
My daughter, my baby sleep beside me, and my other little girl sleep over there. And my big daughter sleep right now.
The Jamaican mom was reluctant to come forward with her story because she is a foreigner, but she says she's all on her own.
Their daddies, they hang up, but he took off and leave them.
She says she took the father to court for child support and won, but that hasn't helped.
I get nothing from it.
The 48-year-old has lived in the Bahamas for a combined 20 years, and these days are the hardest she says she has ever experienced. It's a reality facing tens of thousands of Bahamians and residents as the global pandemic has plunged the economy into crisis. Unemployment is expected to exceed 30%, and the Prime Minister has warned Bahamians of uncomfortable, difficult decisions ahead.
It's a desperate need. It's a dire need. My children are worried. They watches me every day.
Long lines for aid have become the norm as families struggle to put food on the table. Dan says she has paid NIB in the past, but work permit holders are not entitled to unemployment benefits.
They would tell me, oh, I'm sorry, can't help you. They asked, what's your nationality? And I told them. So sometimes they tell me, I'll call back, never call back. When I call back, they give me a runaround, never help me.
Dan was asked how she would respond to somebody who says that she should look to Jamaica for help because many Bahamians are already suffering.
I don't understand, but we are God's children. You know, everybody should put together and help each other as a black nation. Things would be much easier, much better. And I think everybody should put away the bitterness and come together and help each other because time is going to come when what you have, it's going to be gone.
Amid talks of budget cuts due to COVID-19, Minister of National Security Marvin Dames is defending the decision to promote more than 70 senior police officers in spite of a manpower audit that found the police force as too top-heavy. He also brushed off a former cabinet minister's threat to take legal action over the promotion of an officer who admitted to wrongdoing during his highly publicized trial. Jasmine Brown reports.
The National Security Minister made the comments here at the Royal Bahamas Defense Force on the sidelines of a signing ceremony. As it relates to those criticisms, he says they're nothing more than political antics.
We're adhering to the audit.
The National Security Minister's comments come 2 weeks after 23 officers were promoted from the rank of superintendent to chief superintendent. 45 officers were promoted from the rank of assistant superintendent to superintendent. Those promotions came 1 week after the elevation of 3 officers to assistant commissioner of police. This latest promotion exercise came after a manpower audit found that there was an 800 officer deficit in the rank of constable and recommended that only 11 officers hold the rank of chief superintendent, as a review of the rank structure and associated primary duties revealed absolutely no differences in the job descriptions of superintendents and chief superintendents. Following the audit, the force's top brass was gutted when 8 senior officers, including then Deputy Commissioner of Police Emerick Seymour, were sent home. Dames was asked if the promotions may have been inappropriate, given the government's financial situation in light of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Prime Minister's hint at budget cuts in ministries.
These promotions would have been provisions for during the last budget.
Dames also defended the promotion of Deborah Thompson, who admitted in the trial of former cabinet minister Shane Gibson that she organized a meeting between key prosecution witnesses Jonathan Ash and Deborah Bastian to iron out ambiguities in their statements. Thompson admitted during the trial that her actions were wrong, but she insisted it was common practice. Gibson, who was acquitted last year, has since threatened legal action over Thompson's promotion. Dames said he is entitled to take that action, but asserted Thompson is worthy of the promotion.
I have the utmost, I repeat, the utmost confidence in her integrity and her ability. I mean, people go to court all the time, and matters of won or lost, right? So who decides what may have resulted in someone winning a case or someone losing a case?
The National Security Minister called talk of the contrary nothing more than political antics that he would not waste time on.
I am not going to, as minister, get in these side antics and political tricks. I'm not going to speak to that anymore, because now we're going to ride this. I ain't into that no more.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Still to come, a tropical storm could form near the Bahamas. What you should know. Plus, the singing bishop supports government's position on churches, so stay tuned.
News, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
A low-pressure system developing over the northern Bahamas could form into a tropical storm ahead of the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. It is cause for concern for some residents. However, meteorologists say be prepared but do not panic. Jillian Gray tells us more.
It'll be rough seas and winds up to 25 miles per hour this weekend as the disturbance over the Bahamas brings unsettled weather. Now, the hurricane season is 3 weeks away, and residents say this particular disturbance is concerning.
I am. It's a reflection of the changing in times and the weather conditions. And I did see the news, and I am a little concerned, but we have to be prepared.
Meteorologists say by Thursday they expect 2 frontal systems to merge, which will cause an increase in rain by Friday. It's also possible that a tropical storm or depression will form from this system. Deputy Director in the Bahamas Department of Meteorology, Basil Dean, said over the weekend small craft should stay in port and some residents can prepare for some flooding in certain low-lying areas. Though the disturbed weather may turn into a tropical storm, Dean said there is no need to panic.
The good news, as I say it, if we can call it good news, is that this low is expected to develop over the Bahamas. The depression itself may develop over the Bahamas, but more likely as it moves away from the Bahamas. So it would not pose any major threat to us, save for the heavy rains that we anticipate on Friday and the early morning hours of Saturday.
Dean added that they do anticipate an active hurricane season. Last season, Bahamians witnessed the horror of Hurricane Dorian, one of the deadliest storms in the Western Hemisphere. Dean advised people to prepare instead of worry. These residents agreed.
Nobody is ready for a hurricane. It is a natural disaster, and whatever God has, He has. But no matter how much you prepare, what will happen will happen. But it's best to be, what they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So prepare as much as you could and be safe.
I've checked my roof. I've looked at what I have in my cabinet, and I'm bulk buying. And I am also making sure that I have sufficient of everything else that I need. Yes, I'm doing what I have to do.
The 2020 Atlantic hurricane season begins June 1st. Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
As residents prepare for the start of the 2020 hurricane season, the Grand Bahama Port Authority's charitable arm is assisting Grand Bahama residents impacted by Hurricane Dorian last year. The Grand Bahama Disaster Relief Foundation has sourced household goods for distribution to residents who continue to recover from the killer storm. Port Authority President Ian Rolls said they saw a significant need for furniture and appliances in homes that were flooded. He added they identified a major resort willing to donate all of its furniture and appliances. The resort's donation of household items, including refrigerators, stoves, washers and dryers, dining room tables and sofas, is valued at approximately $1.5 million. The Port Authority's charitable arm covered shipping and associated fees of almost $500,000 to get the goods to Grand Bahama. South Beach Clinic has been converted into a 10-bed facility capable of treating patients who test positive for the coronavirus. The facility opened on April 20th and has a steady stream of patients who are seen and treated daily. Jerome Sawyer reports.
This story is brought to you by J.S. Johnson, Insurance Agents and Brokers, giving you peace of mind.
An ambulance arrives with a patient at the South Beach Clinic, a possible referral from another clinic, the COVID hotline or PMH. They are triaged or assessed on the outside. The team here is led by consultant physician Dr. Keith Rivers and moves to determine the next course of action.
The ambulance driver hands over to the patient to the nurse. That's the protocol. All patients are to first be handed over to the nurse before they be seen by a physician. So that's what she's doing right now. She's handing over the patient. More than likely, this patient is going to be admitted. Once they come in the ambulance, that's the most likely patient who fits the criteria for admission.
On the inside, nurse in charge Tamika Knowles works with the physicians on the course of treatment.
If their symptoms warrant them being admitted, meaning that they're not well enough to self-isolate at home, then they phone in to us on the inside, and they are admitted and managed accordingly.
The team works in tandem, ensuring that safety is job number one.
What we do is we put up a sequence of every step that you must go through. We're not relying on no memory. It's written, take it step by step, and then your buddy will make sure that you put everything on in the proper sequence so that you're fully covered, fully protected.
The expansion works will increase the inpatient capacity from 10 to 29 beds. Clinic Administrator Elaine Lightford is overseeing the construction and day-to-day operations.
Sometimes get a bit cumbersome, but we work through it every day. Like I call myself the wind beneath their wings, because my role here is to make sure I keep them safe as possible. I'm the person responsible for making sure I'm getting the PPEs, get the rooms clean and tidy, high clean once the patient is discharged, making sure the patient eat, the staff eat on time. That's my job here in this facility as the facility manager.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jerome Sawyer.
Still to come, the singing bishop talks church services during the pandemic. Stay tuned.
News, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back. The minister's administration has gotten support to keep churches closed for now during the pandemic from singing Bishop Lawrence Roll. He says he prefers for the church to remain closed to prevent a surge in cases. He spoke with Kyle Joaquin.
You will see trouble, let the church open up, and the deacon get it, and the pastor get it. It'll be worse.
He's been known for creating some of the more hysterical videos that make everyone laugh. However, singing Bishop Lawrence Roll says the coronavirus is no joke. Though churches remain closed despite the reopening of other establishments, including liquor stores, Roll says he agrees with the government's position.
You can't see that thing that hitting prime ministers and everybody. No! He knows what he's doing.
You too need to get saved. Because dog and cow is in heaven. You live in the church, and I hope you go to heaven.
When I met those movies and so forth like that, I was called the Corona Mask Sinner. They encouraged me, Bishop, give away masks, encourage the people to wear masks. And that's why I make that mask movie. And the authorities called me and said, yeah, but you're doing a good job. Some things you just don't know on the radio. But the Lord said to me, get back into the supernatural.
The singing bishop says he spends most of his time in his church, International Deliverance Praying Ministries, praying for and feeding the hungry. The father of 9 was at his church today cooking and feeding many within the Grove community.
God said, go back into the supernatural. See where I live? See where I live? This way I seek him. This way I get God on the altar. This is my pot of chicken.
See, Bishop ain't playing.
And then feed hundreds.
Roll says he's seen and heard a lot of what some people have to say about him and his videos, but he has nothing but love for everyone, religious or not.
But girl, let me tell you, everybody, man, woman, boy in Nassau got skeleton. And if somebody would pull some of them skeleton out by the head or the leg, we all will be in trouble.
Thank you.
I ain't gonna tell you no lie, I got couple. I got so much skeleton, I stop counting. That's why it's gotta keep on praying. I gotta look down on you.
Yes.
And while churches remain closed, he said he hopes religious leaders would follow the law. And when it comes to those judging others who feel churches should remain closed,
anybody could come my way.
Amen.
I don't look down on nobody because guess what? You ain't no better than the man under the bridge.
Preach. Preach, Bishop.
Hello.
Preach.
Hello. Destination singing Bishop. Thousands follow me and look at me today. You see my old slippers?
Yes, sir.
You see?
Okay.
You see my old slippers?
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Still to come, the Defense Force taking steps to cut down its hefty fuel bill. Stay tuned.
News and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
The Ministry of National Security signed a $2.1 million contract with Flameless Electrical Contracting Limited for a project that they say will cut down on the Royal Bahamas Defence Force's monthly fuel bill. High-low voltage infrastructure will provide electrical connections at Defence Force docks so that the force's vessels will not have to burn fuel by using generators while in port.
This contract is for the electrification works required to activate the 17 pedestals installed on the new quay walls as contracted and constructed by Vanguard Bahamas Limited, which was part of the Sandy Bottom project. This contract will facilitate the electrification of the jetties, allowing the patrol craft to connect to shore power.
The Defence Force spends an estimated $9,000 a month on fuel. The project is expected to take 10 months to complete. Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the Rev Go Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Join us again tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.